Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and this is Military Mind. Armed conflicts, defense and security, land, sea and air. We've got you covered. Now, overnight into the 9th of March, the Russian army launched another attack on Ukraine, firing 2 ballistic missiles and around 200 strike drones. Ukraine's Air Force reported that 2 missiles and 36 attack drones hit the targets. In the Zaporizhzhia region, a house was damaged as a result of the attack. Regional officials said that, according to preliminary information, there were no casualties. In the Sumy region, 5 people were wounded in Russian strikes, which also damaged transport infrastructure and several civilian facilities. Reports are saying that Russian forces in the city of Kherson are scattering anti-personnel mines produced on 3D printers and wrapped in camouflage fabric. The use of improvised mines is believed to be an attempt by the Russian army to compensate for a shortage of PFM-1 mines, also known as the butterfly mines. Now, the device is produced using a 3D printer and contains an explosive charge, a detonator, and a triggering mechanism. It functions in a similar way to the standard PFM mine, detonating when pressure is applied and the plastic casing bends or cracks. Russian forces reportedly dropped these mines from quadrocopter-style drones. They do not have a self-destruct mechanism and are wrapped in camouflage fabric to make them harder to detect. Meanwhile, in Russia, an explosion occurred in the city of Veliki Novgorod at one of the country's largest chemical plants owned by the company Akron. Now, Akron is one of the world's major producers of mineral fertilizers and industrial chemicals, with its main production facilities located in Veliki Novgorod. Of particular strategic importance is its production of ammonium nitrate, which exceeds 2 million tons per year. Now, the compound is used not only as agricultural fertilizer, but also as a key component in the production of industrial and military explosives. Turning to the frontline now. Over the past month, the situation has changed following a series of Ukrainian counterattacks in the Zaporizhzhia area. Most notably, the pace of advance of Russian forward units has dropped sharply, in some sectors effectively going down to zero. In several areas, Russian forces were even forced to withdraw from their forward positions for tactical reasons. Now, on the opposite flank, near the city of Orikhiv, Russian forces continue persistent assault operations, attempting to break through towards the city from the southeast. So far, these attempts have not achieved significant success. In the Middle East, Iran launched missiles and drones at Israel and several Arab states of the Persian Gulf just hours after appointing a new supreme leader. Iranian state media reported, and I quote, massive explosions in the center of the occupied territories. Israel reported that one woman was moderately wounded in the strikes. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates and Iraq all reported Iranian missile and drone attacks overnight. One of the most serious strikes occurred in Bahrain, where the Ministry of Health said on the 9th of March that 32 civilians were wounded after an Iranian drone struck the country. 4 of the wounded, including children, were reported to be in serious condition. Witnesses later reported seeing thick smoke rising from the direction of the Bapco oil refinery in Bahrain. Iranian missiles had already struck the refinery 4 days earlier, causing minor damage. Drones also hit near a US military base in the area of Erbil in Iraq, according to security sources. Iraqi security forces also reported intercepting a volley of drones and missiles aimed at a US diplomatic facility near Baghdad International Airport. Now, we opened this episode with a footage of a pit. This is not a dugout or a concrete walled shelter. It is an ordinary pit dug in the ground, a trench where Ukrainian infantryman Serhiy Tyshchenko lived for 471 days near Vasyukivka alongside 3 of his comrades. They were separated from the outside world only by bags of clay, which the soldiers used to fortify their position, protecting themselves from Russian FPV drones. Here they slept, They fought and waited to rotate out. Food was delivered to the position by drones. But the biggest problem was water. Bottles dropped from the air often broke on contact with the ground. There were times when they had to sit through days with near to zero water between them. This is the reality of the Ukrainian infantry on the front line. Not dramatic footage of combat, but hundreds of days underground, where survival sometimes depends on a few meters of a hole dug by hand.
Це де моя рука і до потолка. Такі раніше було. Відстань лазили рачки. Потім все ж таки викопали одну сходинку. Потім ось ще одна сходинка. І це все оце тут і закінчилось раніше. Потім прокопали аж туди. Потім знову ж таки ще одну сходинку ось. Прокопали, хоп. І тут оце все підвал, це також самі викопали. Не було його до нас. Викопали так. Ось тут у нас вихід заложений мішками на даний момент. Так. Ось тут під ногами в мене викопана яма для того, щоб стікала вода. Як дощ іде, то сюди вода затоплює. Так. Вон там далі, там де доски. Це тут ніша викопана таке. Тут де доски, це у нас тут криниця. Зараз навіть покажемо. Ось так от відкривається тут. Не одна доска тут. Ага, дички не видно. А не видно, близько. Можна ще одну відкрити для візуалізації. О, отак видно. Кругленько це. До речі, балу викопав. Це якось поки що. Потім там далі у нас просто склад.
Proof that heroism is not always measured by explosions or impressive missions. Sometimes it is this quiet heroism happening behind the scenes that forms one of the thousands of pillars which support the functioning of the front line and state security. Now, moving on to our next story. In the east of the Donetsk region, east of the city of Rudynsky, an airstrike was carried out on a location confirmed to be occupied by operators from the Russian Rubicon unit. According to available information, 2 high-precision aerial bombs were used against the facility. Such sites play an important role in the work of Russian UAV units. They serve as drone launch sites and house pilots who fly the drones to do aerial recon and correct long-range fire. One should, of course, mention that in many reports, the Rubicon is described as an elite unit, so the loss of operators and their equipment will actually be felt acutely by the Russian army. Now, in temporarily occupied Donetsk, a missile strike was launched on a facility used by Russian units as a warehouse for drones and ammunition. After the strike, a powerful detonation and a series of secondary explosions were recorded on the grounds of the facility, indicating significant ammunition stocks inside.
Здесь пост УВМ был. Заехали в Донецк, Киевский проспект. А мы под наезжением огонь не подшташь. Дороги нет.
Снимаешь?
Да.
Мне скинешь?
Угу.
Поближе.
Киевский проспект. Ракеты.
And that's all for now on this episode of Military Mind. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news, updates and commentary.